PSA might be starting to differentiate. Welcome to the Solemn YuGiOh channel where we discuss everything collecting and investing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, what does this mean? Essentially, for the longest time, if you sent in a unlimited anything, unlimited LOB Blue Eyes, unlimited LOB this, unlimited MRD this, they would all say, this card is a 2002, blah, 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 blah. So every single graded card says it's 2002, when most unlimited cards are not. Whenever you buy an unlimited card, it is very often a 2010 or 2017 or whatever you want to call it reprint, not a 2002, 2003 and so forth reprint. So that creates a level of risk because some people buy these cards thinking they are getting the original cards and they aren't. Now, if you want to be sure about this, you can always just look for a first edition one, but that is more expensive. So some people go for that 2002 unlim when it's really not 2002. But most of us already know this. Now, GeziTCG has a very interesting guide on how to check if something is 2002 unlim or not. I will link that down below, and while it is super helpful, it is still, a bit of a muddy water. Not every card is that easy to notice. Not everyone is gonna take the time to check out the different letterings and so forth. It's very interesting stuff, you should check it out. So, Gezi consults PSA, and PSA is now gradually implementing a change where they are gonna properly attribute whether something is from 2002 or 2003, or from way later, the Walmart reprints, as I like to call them. So the potentially first properly attributed card is this Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, Gezi posted on his Instagram, where you can see it says 2010 Spell Ruler. Now, Spell Ruler is a weird one in that it's much easier to see whether it's a reprint or not, but it's still a good sign. It means they are working on it. Now we will probably very gradually start seeing them doing this with other cards. And gradually, cards will just be properly labeled. Is this 2010? It will have 2010 on the label. Is this 2002? It will have 2002 on the label. Some people are already getting hyped. They think, oh, so the unlims from back in the day will now go way higher because we will finally properly attribute them. Yes and no. First of all, there's still a problem because all of the cards PSA graded so far still have wrong labeling. This is also an issue, by the way, with Asian English and ulti rares. If you look at the pop report of an ultimate rare right now, its pop seems extremely low, like a Cyber End Dragon and all of these GX ultis, their pop seems low because a lot of them are actually in the wrong part of the pop. They are in the ultra part. So if you look up all the PSA 10 Ultras of Cyber End Dragon, in that number, you also have ultimate rares, because for the longest time they weren't attributed correctly. So in the same way, but even worse, your unlims also have this wrong attribution. So whenever someone who doesn't know how to really see the difference between a reprint and a non-reprint sees an unlim on eBay, that card, if it was graded in 2020 or before, will still say 2002 even though it isn't. So that uncertainty around that muddied water, will still make things much harder. Again, same thing with Asian English. For the longest time, they didn't properly change that, and so a bunch of Asian English cards are in the pop of non-Asian English. This is also why you often need to check the back to make sure that it's actually American English and not Asian English, despite a label maybe saying that it isn't. So while this does increase the potential of unlim being taken seriously more, and by, big collectors it already kind of is, because they can just see, even though, a big collector will usually go for first set anyway, it will still take a lot of time. We might see a evolution where people, when they buy unlim, specifically say, oh, I'm only buying these if the cert is higher than this number, and then this number would allude to when they started properly differentiating that particular card. But still, you're entering into this weird dimension of people who have this in-depth knowledge, at which point, why can't they just differentiate themselves? So it's gonna be a weird one. Overall, I do think that once they have established that they properly differentiate everything, meaning currently they differentiate every fucking LOB card, and then you send in your unlim cards, of which they are from 2002, and they get properly, labeled that way, and they have the high cert, then maybe we might see more value going there, because people realize, okay, cool, it's from this late stage PSA grading where we know they properly attributed, and it says 2002, So this is an old card, so we already know there's less of these out there than the 2010, 2017, whatever Walmart reprints. So that potential is there, but overall you notice from my language and the amount of little caveats and oh, and what about this and what about that, you notice it's still gonna be a pretty muddy water, but overall this is better. This is an improvement. It's just a gradual one and not a massive one because for the longest time they weren't labeled correctly. Regardless, I'm excited for this. This is good for the market overall. The more proper information everyone has, the better. And I'm just excited to see where this takes the future of vintage YuGiOh. Again, if you're interested in that guide on how to check the differences, go check out GuessieTCG on YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.